Good evening. This is a recording for YouTube. This is going to be a ranked 1v1 game between Teak and Agonzalezc. Agonzalez is about 1400. I'll have to find Teak's exact elo. But this is a game between the Britons and Mongols. This is replay submitted by Teak. If you'd like the replays that I do analysis every single Monday night. Twitch.tv/TheMojitoMonday. There's a link in the description below for my Discord. If you go there, there's a channel called AoE2 Match Analysis. If you submit replays to that channel, I will do my best to get around to analyzing them, and we can hopefully improve as players. So let's get this game going. It is going to be Britons versus Mongols on Arabia, which is always an interesting matchup. I'm more partial to Mongols just because I do like my Mongol boys, but we will see. So right away, very good start. He gets his sheep scouting, which is properly done. He misses grabbing that cow, which isn't too big of a deal, but he'll get it in a second. So he has one sheep. He has a second sheep, which is very smart to do. You always send the second sheep. I usually make the mistake of for a long time I made the mistake of using all the sheep to scout, and then the problem with that is that especially with Britons. Right, he's Mongols. Never mind. But once these villagers finish eating the sheep, if they have to wait for the next sheep to come in, it's a really bad situation. So he sees his cow. What's up, Beth? So he sees his cow, which is good. Still scouting. So okay, so this is an interesting thing. He's still scouting his base. We'll see if he actually goes and scouts the opponent. You got tea? Nice. What tea did you get? I was looking at the tea at the grocery store today and trying to figure out if I wanted to buy some and start drinking tea again. I probably should, but making tea is a hassle for me. I don't have a kettle or anything like that. Raspberry. Nice. The other problem is I usually only drink... Alright, so let's take a look at this. I usually only drink peppermint tea because I don't like the taste of tea, but I need to work on that. So he has 7 on food. Oh no, yeah, that's a cow. He has 6 on food and a cow there. So, iced tea. Beth, iced tea is a sin against nature, you know that. Same with iced coffee. We don't need to have this conversation right now, but I think you've heard my arguments on this, but so this villager is going to the back line, which is fine. This is not a very good, actually this is a pretty good wallable. Like it's going to be a tight area, especially because the base is so close. But if we look at the visible map, he has a pretty decent map. Like the 4 stone and gold are annoying, but theoretically those aren't that hard to wall off. Everything else is super wallable, even if it is kind of out there. His opponent, on the other hand, let's just check real quick. Scouting, backwards gold, forward stone. So they both have mediocre maps. Both easily wall. Actually, his is a little harder to wall. This area is not easy to wall. You can wall it to the stone and stuff, but so yeah. So far, we're still just in the scouting phase. He's doing his eco balance properly. Pineapple on pizza all over again. Oof. Let's not get into that war. I don't think my chat is ready. I just became an affiliate. I can't have my chat become a fucking war zone yet. But okay, so yeah, he's still scouting. Very smart thing to do. Send his cows in, but grab these extra little dark spots. So that's a very helpful thing to do. Is that when you're sending your cows in, if you just after you've found them, send them to scout a couple extra dark spots just to make sure that you know exactly what's there. Maybe there's some resources hiding there. Maybe there's a tree line you can connect to. The fewer dark spots you have around your base, the less likely it is that you're going to be missing something. Additionally, you can also... One problem is that I'm pretty sure if it's dark, you can't actually scan on dark spots, because I think it'll always be red. But if you scout it, and then it's just like fog of war over here, then you can scan it with buildings. So that's when you have a villager, you try to build a house in that area. Like, don't actually build it, but just hover it over there, and if it turns red, that means there's something there. So if you make sure to cover all the black spots, you can actually make sure that by scanning, you can check to see if they ever do a forward anything. So that's a really nice thing to do. At this point, I assume he's going to come back and push deer, or he's going to go and scout his opponent. because he's done a very, very good job of scouting his area, and that's, as the eels go up, that ability gets much better. So his eco is very balanced. He has 3 on wood, all these on food, getting his boar, and now he starts pushing his deer. And so this is all standard Mongol play. So building a house, good spot for the house. Boar pull is almost perfect. If you put too many people on there, one might be outside the town center, but otherwise it's very good. This house is good. I would personally probably have sent it forward and built it, like, I don't know, right here or something. But that's a lot of extra idle time. Building it here, especially if you're going with an early scout rush for Mongols, means that it's a lot less idle time, faster feudal age, so totally fine. Also, it is close enough. Like, it's better to have it close. If you're not going to build it on a place where you're going to wall, it's better to have it closer, because that way, worst comes to worst, if he gets raided, he can make an emergency wall right around here, and this house is part of that. Also, it's not like in between his gold or his berries, so he won't lose a couple extra seconds to idling, since villagers might have to take a longer path. I should have restocked on water. Oh well. So yeah, I love it. He does a little trick here. That's a really nice little thing. You do this a lot more with lumber lines than with berries, but if you send the villager to go and collect from the, like, when there's ever a U shape like this, you collect it from the inside of the U, and then to turn around and then build it. A, that protects him against men-at-arms rush by default, and then B, it also adds extra surface area to collect from. The only problem is that if you do this later, if he sends archers in, this guy's dead. Granted, by the time archers should get around here, A, he shouldn't worry about it because he should be on the offense, but B, he should be able to have picked through these berries, and that means that he should be able to escape. So small little things like this will help increase small little percentage points and make sure that you get a little bit of advantage. And the higher elo you go, the more important these small little percentage increases are. Because at low levels, like we just watched, so he's going to go and harass a scout. If he gets an extra hit on, that's huge. Doesn't. Because at low levels, you want the bigger percentage gains, like better strategies, better build orders, and stuff like that. So he gets that hit, which is huge. That means this scout can't fight. He's going to, but at higher levels, when you already have all the gains you can from the big, like, decision changes, then you need those small little improvements that can improve. Hey, welcome, Teak. I was just complimenting you on the little berry trick with the U shape. So we just started. The only thing I've talked about really is that this house, I would have probably done it, like, built it as part of a wall or something, but it's less idle time, especially with a scout rush. It's probably better here, and then additionally, you can use it to wall up. In case of an emergency, you can build like an inner wall. So otherwise, everything's going well. This is definitely smooth. Like this house, I didn't see when this house was built. It might have been one of the first houses, but if you built it, just slightly forward on one of these two tiles, it would have helped make walling off a little bit better. But these are small. These are the, like I was just trying to explain. Small. Once you start getting to higher levels, that's when you start needing the. It's better to focus on small improvements, because when you at lower levels, like with coleslaw, we were talking about general strategy things that can improve your win percentage by significant chunks. Once you start getting to the higher levels, though, the significant chunk gains stop existing. Like everyone has those significant chunk gains where they know what's going to happen, like know what they should do. And so those improvements are no longer really there. And so in order to get better than your opponents, you need those small percentage improvements. And one of the best small percentage improvements you can do is that small little berry trick, just to get your villager in there and get better surface area. So there's my rant. Talked about it twice, but yeah, good deer pushing. That is, I can't push deer that well. You could have waited a half an extra second, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. So we have 7 on boar, which is fine. I would have probably, I don't know if it's better to do 6 on boar and 3 on deer, or 2 on deer, but that's one of those small percentage points that would matter, or that could matter, but at the same time, I don't know what the correct answer there is. And it's not too big of a difference that it matters, but. So you've got a lot of food. Okay, so you're going 18 pop scouts, which is the right thing to do. Pushing your villagers, getting your barracks. This is all very tightly done, well done. Going feudal at 645, which is huge. And you've already also gotten hits on his scout, which is amazing. So, So you send them all to stragglers, which is probably the right thing to do because you need the wood. Always mess up your wood count for scouts. That's fair, yeah. So I'm assuming you probably want to send more to get to wood. I don't. I think because one of the problems I see here is that you do need food for your scouts, which you have plenty of food, but you're gonna have a rotting food here from your deer. I don't know if you want to leave 2 on your deer, but at the same time you are emergency getting wood, so that makes sense. I'd almost just send 2 over. The wood is higher priority. That's fair. I think though, well, one, if the wood's such a high priority, I wouldn't have built these walls quite yet. I would have built a house, used some of the wood for a house instead. Then they go back to food, so that's why you keep them close to CC. That's fair. I was gonna say you could send 2 to wood and get 5 on this lumber camp, and then your food count, your wood count is gonna be better balanced. Because I don't think you need 7 on your collectibles if you already have 5 on berries. Like I don't think you need 12 food. Wall too early, used to do scouts later where walls need ASAP. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if this was 22 scout rush, then you probably want a wall. But I think this is one of those situations where you already have a lot of food. You still have all these herdables left. You don't need to worry about farms yet. You could send some of these guys over to your wood and just keep them over there and then balance your wood eco a little bit better. Walling too early, yeah. Again, use houses for it. Just because you're going to hit feudal, build a stable, and be housed. So, yeah, this is a lot of walls. Good snipes, good snipes. That's the most annoying part. And you can fight that. Do you have loom? You do have loom. Nice. So, it's some idle time for scout HP, which is, I think you come out on that trade. And especially because you're going to probably trap him in there. But the only problem with that is that did set you behind and also cost you a lot of wood eco, which you are very struggling. You only have 2 on wood. So you can't build your stable right away. That's probably your biggest problem right now, is that he's trying to kill your sheep. Yeah. And I'm not saying that was the wrong thing to do. I think instead of when he first ran in here, you could have started moving your sheep to the other side of the TC, made him walk a little farther for it and be in town fire a little longer. Put your sheep right underneath would have been helpful. But the fact that you spent so much time there, and the problem wasn't so much that you lost out on idle time, but specifically that you lost time on your wood, because you're so far behind on wood now. If you had sent those 2 villagers originally to the wood line, you'd have had 4 here now, and that would have been, you probably would have almost had enough for a stable at this point. At least been closer. Like, yeah, you're walling too much here, building houses and stuff. You could use these like that house is in a good spot, but could have definitely done a house in one of these spots. The problem is just like spending that much time on making sure that you establish all that food safely. It meant that you are so far behind in your wood eco that you can't get a scout rush going. Because the ideally right now is that you build your stable and you get scouts. But because you've been so late on your wood, your scout rush isn't very useful. Because you're going to build a couple of villagers, and by the time that you finally get your stable and scouts going, it's essentially no better than having a 22 scout rush without getting the early pushing bonus. So look at his base. Yikes. The problem is that, so yes, he's fully, that's an interesting wall. So yes, he's fully walling, but you don't know that. It would have been useless. But the problem is that shoulda, coulda, woulda is always, 20/20 hindsight. If you go 18 pop feudal scout rush, you are committing to making sure that you get those scouts out and harass. Because let's say you had gotten your stable up now, I think you could sneak, especially with how badly he's walling. Like, these are some atrociously bad walls. I don't know why he doesn't wall there and here. Wall to this line and here. Build was bad, yeah. But that's the thing, is that, like, if you're committing to an 18 pop scout rush, you need, like, you're committing to it. Otherwise, you're losing idle time from going to feudal early and not having the villagers collect resources for you. So even if he's fully walled, even if he ends up being fully walled, because you haven't scouted, it doesn't matter. This is still a mistake that you missed it. But it doesn't mean you change, like, if you're going for a specific build, you don't change your build without knowing that it's already late. If you had scouted this already and seen that he had gone full walls while you're going up to feudal, then yeah, you don't make your scouts. But you don't know this, so you want to commit. Even if it's a little late, you probably still want to commit to going scouts. So also, you probably should have had this guy build the house first, because it looks like you're going to get housed. You're still struggle. Okay, so you're building a house here. Still could get housed, but and so this is one of those points where, unfortunately, you've messed your build order up so bad that you have to improvise. I would almost abandon the scout rush at this point. I know I literally just talked about how you can't, but it's so far behind, and your wood eco is so bad that I'd almost just go and drop these 5 on a new lumber camp and just try to balance out the eco. It's too late to do it at this point. Exactly. Not only has he seen that you've gone super early feudal and he can wall up, but you can assume that he's walled. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those situations where it's like, it's unfortunate that you have to, like, you shouldn't, when you do a build order like this, especially when it's the Mongols scout rush, you should be pretty smooth on that. It's unfortunate, but if you have to improvise, it's almost better to go with the safer improvisation. And so you do commit to the okay, you're trying to get your wood, which is fine. And so you have, where's your, yeah, so you still have stragglers. Like, stragglers are good and all, but again, you're floating so much food that you don't need this mini on food. You can move half of these guys over to this lumber line, and that will solve a lot of your problems. Especially because because the thing is like, let's say you magically have a stable built immediately right now. You can queue up 5 scouts easily, and then keep your villager production going. You don't need to float more food. You can try to do a fast castle at this point, which might be the way to go, and try to build up your food, drop mining camp, and try to get a fast castle. But unless you want to do that, you have too much on food at this point. When your wood eco is struggling this much and you're behind on your buildings, you need to readjust and start building your wood eco. Because again, in the ideal scenario, you have a stable. You get your stable already. I would have sent a second build to build that stable. If you're gonna go with the stable, I would just commit to it. Send 2 or 3 villagers up there, even if it idles a lot of time. You need those scouts out yesterday. So getting two villagers up here at the very least to get the stable up a couple seconds earlier could get you an extra second to get into the walls. This is one of those builds where 1 or 2 seconds matters immensely, and so yeah, you're still getting your eco done, which is fine. Hopefully you don't kill an extra sheep here. Totally fine. So you go and build a second lumber. I think you're gonna go build a second lumber camp. Yeah, you just need to wait for wood. So the lumber camp idea is the right thing. I would have sent 2 of these guys to the established lumber camp, just because if you're waiting for wood, by the time these guys are going to be useful, they would have already been chopping wood by the time they get to the other lumber camp, instead of having to wait and build that lumber camp, the second lumber camp. So it's usually a better idea to populate the existing lumber camps than send too many people to build a new lumber camp and have to spend idle time waiting. Because again, you send those 2 over here, you have 5 on the lumber camp, you've gotten extra wood. That's a mistake. That's unfortunate. I assume you're just trying to hastily do things, but that's... I don't think we need to talk anymore about why that's a bad idea. This looks like a little bit of panic mode. So you're getting your scouts, which is good. So one problem, though, is that you said all this time and your scout wasn't scouting. If you had scouted while this scout was just sitting over here while you're trying to fix your eco, even if you just had him on auto scout, chances are you'd have ran into the wall. You could have seen that he was fully walled. And if you had known that, then you wouldn't need to make any scouts. At that point, you could say, okay, I have been fully walled out. My opponent's on full eco. You would know better whether you need to fully commit or just try to fast castle or what. So that's my advice is, if you had been scouting, like at a certain point, if you're too busy trying to fix your own eco, which it looks like you are, this is such a bad early game. I totally forgot because the late game is exciting. Okay, that's good. This is just one of those things where it's like, if worst comes to worst and you don't have any API or APM to spare to scouts, throw your scout on auto scout. Everyone gives auto scout crap, but at least your scout's doing something. Otherwise, it spent so much idle time that it just was a waste. Like, imagine having auto scouted, even if it didn't even get close to your enemy's base, because then it was like, okay, you could have known that there's resources, where the resources are. You could have known where the relics are. Just auto scout at the very least gets you better than nothing. So you're getting Town Watch. I don't know if I'd grab Town Watch necessarily. I would keep... Oh, you got Housed, so that makes sense. You may as well start attacking right away, even with only a single scout. Just because with a full wall, it's very unlikely that you're going to break through. But if you send one scout to immediately start attacking a wall, usually it'll prompt a response, whether that means to immediately go and house wall it, but that immediately means that your opponent's villager starts idling earlier. So if you had sent this guy to attack this wall right here, this palisade, he sends a villager to house wall this. You send your next scout to go attack another section of the wall. He has to go send the villager to go house wall that. It forces the idle time a little earlier, and can force your opponent off a handful of extra resources. Again, we're talking about small percentage points, and you're doing the better thing of scouting to see if the wall is complete, but that's just one of those things you could work on. So yeah, you're attacking. I would have kept attacking until he responded. I think you're just trying to find an opening, which at this point you should know that there's no opening. So let's look at your eco. You got your lumber eco starting to get fixed, getting your villagers count back up, getting your farms, looking for a wood line. Oh, makes sense. Yeah, and that's where the scouting would have been very useful. I mean, at this point, so... Okay, yeah, you're doing the right thing. I was going to say, at this point, if you take this long to scout, and you don't find it, just start attacking. Especially when it's this far in, like, one of the corners. Chances are, especially when he's walled this far on the left, it's going to take him forever to get over here, and you're on a... You might... And it just causes more idle time, so you're doing the right thing. Don't attack the house, attack the palisade, force him to have a response. That's weird graphical glitch. Just keep attacking, yeah. Just keep forcing idle time. Again, that scout should be attacking there, but could probably fast forward through this part. It's boring. Yes, but there's always small things that we can talk about. So, like, this isn't meant to be a super exciting cast. It's more so, like, we're going to dive into small little things that could have been improved on. Like, for example, attacking the palisade there could have been improved on. You're still harassing. You're forcing the idle time, which is good. The last scout was an accident. Hey, man, accidents are okay. Yeah, scouts aren't, like, having too many scouts at this point is not, like, yeah, it's not good to have, but you have so much, you have enough food, and you're nowhere near getting to the castle, that an extra scout doesn't really hurt. It's going to force more of a response to it from him. So, like, yeah, it's not the worst thing to have that extra scout. It's not ideal, but it does actually make it so he can't just ignore your scouts, because if you only had, like, if you only had these 3 scouts, he can easily just handle those 3 scouts on their own. But if you have 2 groups of 3 scouts, which I think you have, or 5 scouts total, you have 2 scouts here and 3 scouts there, that means that he actually has to kind of deal in multiple places. That means more likely accidents can happen from him, and the upside is pretty good. So, it's not... I'd rather have the 5th scout than not, honestly, at this point, just because it maintains map control, and that 60 food isn't too big of a deal right now. Because chances are you're going to hit 800... you should hit 800 food before you're ready to go Castle Age. So yeah, you're just forcing him to micro stuff out, which is forcing him to APM, this is the right thing to do. A little unfortunate here that this guy's not attacking. Could micro. Okay, so now we know that he's going archers. And so this is when you start probably pulling back, figure out what your next transition is. So you've clicked... Oh no, he's already going castle. So that's dangerous. So yeah, you keep running around. You can see that there's a forager there, so you know where his berries are. Forcing his... That's not safe. That archery range, you could have kept attacking. So if you kept attacking that, you can sneak in here. That's a very easy to do mistake where you think you cover up a wall, but you don't. So I would have kept attacking there, and then hope to sneak in. Because at this point, these scouts are useless. Any chance of breaking in, could have kept attacking, but it's also an easy block. Yes. But the chances that you're going to get, like, is the only chance, and exactly, it's the only chance you have. These scouts otherwise are just going to be patrolling and forcing him to build houses along the wall, which is fine. But the upside to this is so huge that you take that chance when you get it. So let's get rid of Fog of War because he doesn't realize. So if you kept like you're gonna keep attacking, which is fine. Because also it's 5 scouts can't hit the same palisade wall. So even if you had sent 1 scout over to go attack another area, that would have been fine. But you keep attacking there. He thinks he has a block. You get in, and then that scout rush all of a sudden has become very good. So he's gonna start attacking house walls, which is fine. He has a huge problem here where he hasn't. I mean, that scout's almost dead. But he should have been sending his scouts to go poke at your walls and just see what you're doing. Make sure you're not expanding. Make sure you're not doing forward buildings. Get an idea of what you're going with. Because that scout's doing nothing for him. Let's see. For your eco, you're trying to get to castle, which is the right thing to do because he's about to hit castle. I assume you're probably going to idle your TC after this. You're running your scouts over, haven't taken too much damage. So, I don't know if I'd want to attack right there just because you know the archer's right there. I would have sent these scouts over to attack this wall area because you already know that he's going to have an archer here to defend against you. So, archers are slow, much slower than cav. So, if you sent these scouts over here, you probably gotten some more hits and force him to actually worry about it a little bit faster. But here, he can just put his archer here and start chipping away at your scouts. Didn't care about the archers because their damage is so low. That's true. Trying to force more houses up. Yeah. That being said, though, it's like you're gonna have a better time because he already has villagers over here dedicated to building houses. Like with scouts, you want to hit at multiple areas, but in this situation, when he already has the defenses up, hitting in the same area just means that your scouts are gonna take damage. And while the scouts fall off very quickly, these aren't useless in Castle Age, especially against archers. They can meat shield some archer shots easily. I think sending them over here is better because you already know he has no resources over here, but he doesn't have his villagers over there. He already had 2 villagers dedicated to building these houses, so I think sending them over could have forced a better reaction. But here, he almost doesn't have to react. Like he's going to react, but you have 2 archers here, and you've taken a bunch of pot shots. Additionally, using box formation will probably be a little bit smarter, just because it gets a little bit faster attack range. But at this point, I'd almost not even bother attacking the palisades. I'd spread your scouts out and just try to see if he moves out. I mean, yeah, keep attacking, but he has crossbows. They're going to start actually dealing damage to your scouts. They deal 4 damage per shot. That's, yeah, especially with a bunch of archers. So, you're going castle, you're getting your upgrades, you're going fletch. So I assume you're switching into skirms. So you build. So let's take a look. So you're just harassing here, which is fine. That's actually really lucky if you attack here because he can't get. Actually, no, he can. Never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. So you're getting castle. You're gonna get a castle for Mangadai builds pretty quickly. Eco's good. You have some expansion spots which are good. Blacksmith's rolling. What do your upgrades look like right now? Actually. So you have fletching. You don't have any other upgrades. So I don't know what you. We'll see what you end up going. I think you're probably gonna end up going skirms at first. I would get the padded archer armor then. If you're gonna go skirms, if you're gonna go knights, you want to get these armors. At the very least, if you get these, the horse armor, the cav armor, it will help with Mangadai in the future. It'll help with light cav that you want to get to at the end. I would just recommend keeping your blacksmith not idle, but then again, you are low on resources, which is the right thing to do. So, yeah, he's starting to amass archers. Let's see what you end up going with. So you have a archery range. What are you using it for? You built this archery range, and you haven't produced anything out of it. You already clicked up a castle, and so I assume like. At this point, you start making your trash units. I think, whether that means you start making some extra scouts, deal with to try to harass archers, or you make some skirms to deal with the archers. Because I think waiting to get enough stone for a castle and start making Mangadai is going to be too slow because he's going to pressure too hard with these. He's already massing up crossbows. sticking to skirms, but once you saw he was staying in his base, you realized it was not necessary. That's fair. I guess as a lower elo player, gonna go for castle instead. That's fair. I still would have made a couple scouts while you're at it, just because you have the extra food. Mainly because if you go for a castle and you break in somewhere, you want to have the extra units to go flood in. At the very least, you want the scouts to have meat shields for the castle build, and Mangudai. So it's like it's you have a lot of so he starts moving out. It's one of those things where it's like you have all these buildings that could be producing something, and you choose not to. So it's a little bit idle. Like the potential of building units from them is really high, but you're not using them to the extent. So you're still running. You're gonna find out that he's moving forward, which is good. You keep your two. Yeah, so you see this. You see he's moved out. And this is why, even if you didn't think you'd need skirms, building a couple skirms just in case and having a step up would have been nice, because you know that he's moving forward now. So you're building a forward castle. That's totally fine. Yeah, that's a good castle. Let's take a look at real quick what you have exposed. So you're getting some scouting information, which is good. But you should know that his boys are coming in. And so this castle's going to help, but it's going to force you off this wood line, and then he can just run around, force you off all your wood lines. You have no safe wood line right now. If you want to go TC drop somewhere, over here, that's good. But these crossbows can cause a problem. So I would have got, this is why building even 2 or 3 skirms, just so that way you can make an elite skirms, if you needed them, would have been smart. Because you have 300 plus resources floating. You build a couple skirms while you're clicking up to Castle Age, and that would have helped you immensely in the situation. Because right now you have no way of dealing with these crossbows. And that's going to cause some serious problems. You lose a villager there. Hopefully you pull these guys off. Yeah, you pull them off immediately, which is good. Building a town center on your wood line in gold, which is good. Good micro, but... and you're fully walled, and you have house walls, so that's good. So you're getting your archer armor, and I hope you're building... So you're still building no military, which is fine. I don't know. Additionally, let's actually think about something real quick. So, okay, you did see that he rebuilt this. So you do know that he rewalled that. Because I was going to say, if you didn't see that he had rewalled, you could have assumed that maybe he didn't rebuild. Maybe he was moving out. Maybe he didn't rebuild his wall. You could send these 2 scouts who are doing nothing to go try to sneak into his base. You could go send them to go check to see what's around the base. Just having these 2 idling here. Yeah, you're getting some keeping an eye on the skirms, but these guys aren't doing anything here. I would send them forward and try to either poke walls and force some skirms to stay back, or he's just gonna take that. Yikes, that's unfortunate from him. So yeah, so a good defense. I would garrison some archers. Yep. Oh, you can't range that. You don't have Bodkin, that's why. No, you do have Bodkin. Okay, so wow, he has a lot. I missed this. He has a lot of crossbows. So this is when you definitely should start coming up with units. You're still building no military, and just relying on castle and TCs. You're gonna go for castle, so it was annoying to defend. That's fair. I forgot about the Briton range bonus. He outranged everything. Absolutely, that's totally fair. So yeah, I think having built some skirms would have been nice. Because the problem with this right now is that yes, he's not dealing any major damage. It's annoying. But if he had sent, and this is where the scouts could have been useful. You want to send these scouts to keep patrolling around here and just make sure that he doesn't try to send villagers forward. Because if he sends 2 villagers forward, builds a siege workshop here, starts pressuring you with some, here, and then starts pressuring you with a mangonel here, that TC is going down. A forward siege workshop from him right now would be devastating. Or a forward castle drop. So I think you need some military. You can't just rely on static defenses for this situation when you're this tightly packed. Because the fact that he's attacking the TC is a huge mistake. He should take these 3 archers, park them behind this wood line. Then he shuts off this wood line, and you don't have skirms to deal with that. That's what happens. Oh, good. Oh, boy. We're excited. These guys can kind of range the gold, but what's his field fog of war look like? So he knows that you have this resources. So yeah, he's sending his villagers over here to try to keep you off of these resources. So that's a big problem. Is that you have no safe, like this is your safest wood line. It's not safe. So I don't know why he's attacking the house instead of the palisades, but that's a big problem. Is that you don't need military right now because he can't break in, but he is going to constrict you to the point that you can't build anything. And so if he had sent these archers, he sent these three over here, you have no way to get wood, and you have no way to get skirms, and it could get very dangerous. So yeah, the fact that he's not pressuring this wood line is huge. If you would have parked his archers, like, this is, never attack TC with archers at this stage of the game. There's no reason to. That's not fully walled. That's not fully walled. And this is, yeah, so now you're building Steve's Workshop, which is good. Probably should have built one earlier. This is why you need military. Is that you need some way of dealing with some stuff like this. And again, so this is a mistake on his part. Again, this is why you choke. He should know that you only have 3 wood lines because he's scouted. And so he should keep a couple archers over here to make sure you don't get on that wood line. He should keep archers over here to make sure you don't get on this wood line. He has archers over here to make sure you don't get on that wood line. He gets you off of all 3 wood lines, and you lose. You can't make archers. You can't make skirms. You can't make mangadai. Actually, mangadai are food and gold. I'm pretty sure they're food and gold. Mongols. Mangadai. Wood and gold. No, so they're wood and gold. So you can't make any units. You can't make siege if he keeps you off of wood. So, granted, he doesn't know how much wood you're floating, but that would be my big thing, is that he has full control over what resources you have, and he's not taking advantage of it, because he's wasting so much time doing nothing. Like, he's dealt 600 damage to your TC, that does nothing. Gives you time to kill the mangonel, and that should help, but... And you have all these villagers taking pot shots. He's sending more forward. I mean, you're busy. This is why you need... I'm assuming these guys are on stand ground, but you put them on defensive, and they could have picked off these vills, or picked off these crossbows, so you finally realize they're just dying. You're too busy microing, which is understandable, but this is why using those scouts could have gotten you some amount of knowledge of what's going to happen. So you build a mangonel. That's good. I would still keep building some other units. One mangonel isn't going to do enough. Building more mangonels is just good. But I think, yeah, so he finds out you're on that wood line. So, like, if you would start building some skirms and start helping out with the pressure against the archers, that would have been huge. Skirms would have taken too many upgrades to be useful. There wasn't really much options besides cheese at this point. That's fair. That's a valid point. Not enough food for knights. So you actually have a lot more food than you realize, but you've queued up 8 villagers. So the 8 villagers is... How much? Villagers are 950 food, right? I'm pretty sure villagers are 50 food. So that's 400 food. You make 3 or 4 knights. And yeah, you'll probably trade with half of these crossbows, but that relieves a lot of pressure for you. You don't need to queue up this many villagers. Granted, if queuing up that many villagers helps no stable or blacksmith upgrades for knights. Yep. And that's unfortunate. Again, with that food, you might be able to get some of the upgrades. But I think having some military here, even just to posture and harass these guys. Mongol Knights are bad late game because no plate party armor. Right, but we're not worried about late game right now. We're trying simply to survive. And so, like, maybe this is wrong, but I think having a couple knights here to, at the very least, force them farther away from this mangonel. And at the worst case, you send these knights out and go check to see if he has any holes. Like, you send 2 knights over here just to make sure that he's not doing anything. It pulls some attention away from his aggression, and doesn't take too much from you. Or you get a couple extra knights and you start picking off small units. Like, two unupgraded knights against 5 crossbows. You're going to lose the knights, but I think you should be able to pick off a couple of those crossbows, and that should help a lot. And then if he keeps flooding individual crossbows. If you send 2 knights over here and just start picking off individual crossbows, that requires him to actually have a response. And then mass some crossbows and deal with them. And that is a handful of crossbows that don't deal with your deal with your eco being torn to shreds. So, good mangonels. The mangonels were definitely the right call, and I think skirms would have been a mistake. Good mangonel shots, good tear down of the house. Smart plays. Take out that. How did you take out that Was that from the castle? I assume the castle took down the mangonel, which is a huge mistake for him. But yeah, and again, look at how much wood eco you had and how screwed you would have been had he sent 3 archers over here just to harass. So he's still harassing. Okay, you clean. So that's huge. The fact that you can expand over here now and you have this wood line for free is huge. This is where like a scout or a knight would be really helpful, just to post one up here, just to make sure that like have some early telltale sign of when they come and try to pressure down here. Because ideally, really, he should come back with some archers and try to pressure down here. So, granted, he's going full force and pressuring up here, which is going to be annoying. He gets 1 for free. Hopefully you micro properly and attack round. Yikes. Yeah, you need to do attack round there. Granted, it looked like you were trying to save your villagers, which is fine. And mangonel micro is what separates very, very, very good players from slightly better players. So, making sure to trade those mangonels would have been huge. That keeps him from massing mangonels, and then that means you have a +1 mangonel. House blocked your escape with a mangonel. Yes, but I think the problem was that mangonel, at this point, you were making another mangonel, and he has a mangonel. I would rather sacrifice that. You had already had the timer tick through. Sending that mangonel to its death to trade for that 1 mangonel that was at 50% health is totally worth it. Because you keep him off from getting multiple mangonels, and then with your next mangonel, that keeps him occupied with these crossbows. Letting him sit back, getting that free, like, yeah, as an escape route, whatever. Not trading 1 for 1 with mangonels means that he has actual ability pressure. Technically speaking, with just these crossbows, he can't fully pressure you. He can try to keep you off resources, but he can't make any advance with just crossbows. Especially now that you have this side all taken care of. You have a castle, and you're boom behind this. So, if you just keep trading mangoes 1 for 1, you'll be fine. I'm going to be right back. My throat's killing me. I need water. I will be back in 10 seconds. Oh. That's the problem with mojitos, is they dry your throat out something fierce. The sugar and the mint, the lime. I already don't drink enough water during the day because I drink way too much pop, but that's a different story for another time. So again, yeah, trading mangonels 1 for 1 is what you should be trying to do at the very least here. Because like, oh no, he's harassing some of your houses. He's picking out villagers trying to get to this wood line, but like, there's ways around that, which is, you know, expand to a different wood line. So I don't know how I feel about sending this mangonel. Well, one, you should repair this mangonel. Oh, you have mangonite coming out, which is good. Part of me would say keep this mangonel over here. So like, I think this is where we need to have a quick chat. There's 2 ways to look at this. Keep the mangonel over here in case he tries to raid over here with crossbows. Or send the mangonel over here to reinforce. If you need to repair it at the very least. But the problem is that if he sends a crossbow group over here, which he should, like he has a handful of crossbows here. If he sends this handful of crossbows over to this group, by the time your mangonel comes back over here, it's already too late. He's already going to have done a bunch of damage. So that's why part of me wants to say keep this mangonel over here. And again, you're trading, like, yeah, he has a bunch of crossbows, but you're at the very least trading mangonels 1 for 1 with him, and he might not be making more. So keeping him on just crossbows here, I think would be fine. So like, it looks like in this situation, knowing everything we do right now, I think sending this mangonel back over is the right thing to do. But I could see there is an argument to be made to keep it over here as a protection. At the very least, hopefully you repair it. But okay, and as soon as I say that, you go and repair it. Excellent, perfect. So now you have 2 mangonels. This is still super dangerous. I hope your micro is on point. And it is. You see that? And you send okay, so you have Mangonai to go and try to snipe. And you tore down that house. That's good. Not worth it. Not worth it. So, a couple things about that engagement. I would have waited for another Mangonai to try to snipe that Mangonel. Because 3 Mangonai could have done it. 2 is just not quite enough. Additionally, take down this palisade wall at this time. You choke pointed there, and if he had realized it and attacked ground there, that would have been a 2-for-1. Even then, it's still he dealt a bunch of damage to this Mangonel, and so now he has a slight Mangonel advantage. But that was super dangerous. So you take down that palisade wall, and that gives you some space to maneuver. Otherwise, that was a fine trade. Mangonel, unfortunate because losing 1 Mangonel for it's dangerous. But oh, perfect. We lost a couple villagers there, but good splits. Bad splits. Kills your villager. Okay, so you should have probably garrisoned some villagers there and pick off a couple archers, just because he got so close. Like, in order to avoid, when you have to avoid Mangonel shots, you can only split apart so much. At some point, you're gonna have to walk closer. And so at that case, you were forcing him to walk closer. And so if you had garrisoned your villagers into this TC, you would have been able to pick off a couple crossbows. And, you know, at this point, picking off 1 or 2 crossbows can be the entire difference between winning or losing. So, on the side note, you are booming pretty well. You got this side all settled. Honestly, I'd build a watchtower. I don't do this because I'm still a noob, but building a watchtower right here would go so far to protecting this expansion. So, a defensive watchtower would be huge. Okay, you do garrisons, which is good, but you missed your chance of garrisoning while he was sending in Mangonels. You have a lot of gold floating. Do you have a market? So you don't have a market. I would have recommended probably grabbing a market, because, granted, you need the wood, but if you had a market, you could actually use some of this floated gold that you have 18 villagers on, and use that just to balance out your eco a little bit. Maybe even get a second castle, though I think you could easily get the stone for it. But if you need an emergency pinch, I think building a market would have been worth it. Granted, I don't think you have the APM right now to do that, just because there's more important stuff. You're gonna get this. Oh, you missed out on getting the trade. That's really good. And so this is one of those situations where, if you had the Mangonai, if you had 1 Mangonai here, 1 or 2 Mangonai here, this is where you send them in real quick, take 1 shot at the Mangonel, and run back before they can deal too much. They can actually return fire, because that would, like, 1 shot from Mangonel or Mangonai would have killed that, and you wouldn't have had to trade your Mangonel for it. But additionally, seeing as he keeps producing, so you are currently trading 1-for-1 with Mangonels. It almost might be worth it to build. I don't know if you can maintain production, but if you got a second siege workshop and started getting 2 Mangonels to his 1, you could start actually making up some ground. Granted, that's expensive, and I don't know if it's really worth it because you're starting to amass Mangonai, which is the right thing to do. But that's just a thought. Again, I would have taken down this palisade wall because it makes it so you have this nasty choke points. That was a really good Mangonel shot. So, but again, you're gonna be okay. So you start repairing, which is fine. Trying to build this TC, he catches it. It's gonna be a doubted, which is fine. Like, he's not gonna kill the TC. You're gonna get it up soon, but and so again, that's where the palisade really hurts. So you can at least, let's see, Fog of War. So you can see his archers attacking this, but I'd almost consider dropping a house or a quick house wall right here, just to make sure he doesn't try to sneak guys in. And then once he stops attacking this area, you could go and delete the house and push forward. But this just means that you can see that he's coming in. So you send your Mangonel in, which is good. But you're taking Mangonel shots. He's starting to pressure on this side because he knows there's an opening. You've chopped through, and so this is where I think a second. Oh, you're out of wood. Yikes. This is where a market would come in a lot of handy. So you have 1,400 gold, and you have no way of spending that gold because you need more wood. And so this is where, like, yeah, skirms wouldn't be too useful, but I think, like, skirms or some scouts could... Like, actually, I think scouts would have been the right thing to do, because if you had made a bunch of scouts, you could go clean this up right away. I think if you had, on top of the Mangonel, you have 800 food, I think you're probably going to go Imperial very soon, but you don't have the arm... Like, the problem with going Imperial is that you get all those upgrades, and you can get trebs and stuff, but you don't have the army to use all those upgrades at this situation. You have 3 Mangonel. Going Imperial is going to do nothing for you. You're going to spend all those resources going to Imperial, and they're not going to be spent. They're not going to be used on defending yourself. So if you had gone and built 10 scouts with all this food, sending 10 scouts against this many crossbows, chances are you're going to clean that up, especially with some cav upgrades, which I don't know if you have, but just I think having more at this time. Only making Mangonels and only one at a time just isn't enough of a defense. Because you're trading 1-for-1 with the Mangonels, but he's adding crossbows on top of that. And when you don't get a favorable Mangonel trade, then bad things happen. So you run those Mangonel, you lose all those Mangonel for nothing, which is a huge mistake. He makes a mistake of not microing these and killing them. So you get lucky here and that these get cleaned up. But, yeah, so you need to figure out what your plan is, and right now, trickling single Mangonels just isn't working. Granted, you get some really lucky shots here and there. Again, this Palisade Wall, if you'd gotten to this Palisade Wall, I think you'd have cleaned up something you'd have had such a better advantage at some points. That Palisade Wall is one of the worst things for you. Because it's not even, there's 2 Palisade Walls, right? Yeah, there's a bunch of Palisade Walls. But that Palisade Wall is definitely the LVP. That's cost you. Gotta go, Teak? Alright, no worries. So, Teak, I will be throwing this on YouTube. So I'll post it in the channel. So if you want to watch the rest of it, it should go on YouTube. But otherwise, have a good night, man. Thank you for watching, and take care. Okay, so you catch him doing a Doubt Castle. Definitely learning experience. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. No problem with upload. Alright, take care, Teak. So he realizes, pulls him away. This is where he should have sent more villagers forward. 2 villagers, even with this much of a map control, it just takes too long to build this castle that it's not worth it. How is the villager count anyways? So he's boomed really heavily right now. You're really far behind, unfortunately. Oh, wow, your score is 2. But, so he could have definitely sent more villagers forward. Also, don't attack the villagers there. Definitely attack the castles. Oh, yo, let's go bear. Fucking brother bear. Spirit bear. MVP. So he's making a huge mistake of focusing entirely on his castle drop. If he had kept pressuring here with Mangonels and archers, I think right now Teak's able to just pull all of his guys over here and keep pressuring. Which is he has the Mangonels here. These archers aren't going to do anything. These archers will be way better over here, picking off villagers here and there. So, and the fact that he stopped making Mangonels is a huge problem. So I'm interested to see if he actually pulls this out. So the archers have gotten nice up close and personal. Unfortunately, this is a really bad. This is where you garrison your villas. Garrison your villas in the TC. Garrison your villas in the TC. There we go. There we go. So repair the Mangonel. Mangonel is definitely worth a villager too. Oh, nice Mangonel shot. Micro, repair. Letting them get 2. Okay. Let's stop this for a second. So, letting him get 2 Mangonel kills with these many crossbows is a huge problem, and that's a huge advantage for him. If you kept those, even if it costs you villagers, at this point the Mangonels are worth more than your villagers. You need the army more than you need the villagers. So trading villagers, repairing those Mangonels for those archers as well, they're getting picked off by the TC. and keeping the mangonels attacking the other the vills trying to rebuild the castle, would have been better. Additionally, you're expanding over here, which is good. Farm eco's good. Eco balance good. I don't think you have a market yet, but you have enough on wood finally that you can start building more production buildings and probably building some skirms, building some scouts. Start flooding some Mangudai. I don't know how many Mangudai you have. He has no he has no military right now. So that's the problem. Is like if he had been making trash units, even just to harass, like scouts just to pick off this Mangudai every once in a while. Huge. Scouts to go raid here. Huge. Scouts to kill all these villagers. Like he has all these all these exposed eco because he's focusing purely on this aggression. If Teak had sent any amount of trash units to go deal with some of that stuff, this would be a completely different game. That being said, so now let's talk about the castle. I don't like this castle. I understand why he's doing it to try to defend against this castle, but this is your 4th TC, Teak. You have 3 TCs already. I don't know if it's worth... Like, you need the gold. You don't need the gold. So what is this TC getting you? It's getting you a gold, which you already have all of this gold left. What you know. So you don't know much else. And you have this gold. Like, you have plenty of gold. You don't need to expand onto this gold. You could have... Like, defending this could have been resources spent going to imp, going to getting actual military. Oh, hiccups. Getting more military, getting your upgrades. I don't think this castle's worth it. I assume the castle will range the villagers on this side, but I think like a castle here, which is a little more defensible, castle even here, which is a little bit better angle. This castle is just so defensive and only stops this castle, which is fine, but forcing you to drop a castle here means that this castle is entirely worth it, because he could go and just cancel this, send a bunch of his villagers forward, and drop a castle here. He could drop a castle here. I don't like this castle spot. Like, putting a castle here, I guess, like, it stops aggression on this side, kind of, but I think, like, if you had killed this palisade and built a castle here, let's try to quick spam a castle here, start ranging somewhere, or, like, even just a castle, like, kill these houses, build a castle right here, start raging this side, and start making it a little bit more of a headache for him to actually start pressuring this side. I think that's better. All this does is stop him from pressuring this side. It doesn't protect this area, and doesn't really help you break through. So, I'm not a fan of this castle. Because also he has a high ground, and so those archers are going to really deal some damage. And you have no military to try to counter pressure. And so it's going to cost you a lot of villagers. So you've got an Imperial at least. But again, you win Imperial for what? You don't have... like, this castle's going to get up. He's going to get a castle on you. Actually, no, he's not, because he only has one villager building it, because he does have some more. But your Imperial upgrades don't really do much right now. Like, you're getting a Trep, which is fine. But you don't have the military to take advantage of your upgrades. If you had military, like, even if you had scouts to take advantage of Imperial, that would have been huge. Like, granted, you doubt this castle, so that's a huge win in your book. And it allows you to take this gold, which now you kind of need the gold eco. But so now you need to start spamming military faster than you can. Because the moment you go imp, he's all of a sudden going to be like, I don't have the military. Let's check what his military count is. He has a decent military, but he no longer needs to go all in. Because you've already got Imperial, he is going to catch Imperial as well. Meaning that you need to have the military to beat him once he hits Imperial. Because the moment that he hits Imperial, your advantage for getting Imperial is gone. And so once your advantage in getting Imperial is gone, we run into the exact same situation we've been in for the past 15 minutes, where he has more military and is going to slow push you, and now he has Trebs. Now his Trebs are going to wreck your shit. Because you don't have the units to raid his Trebs, you don't have the Mangudai to go in and snipe his Trebs. He has 20 crossbows that are going to kill anything you send. So your Trebs aren't going to get much done. So you start getting all your upgrades, which is good. I would have liked to see... I would have rather you grabbed military before getting all these upgrades. Start getting military and then get your upgrades, because the upgrades are good, but if you get attacked right now, upgrades don't make a difference. Even if they finish, they don't make a difference. If you had even just shitty, like even just pure trash scouts, those can at least get you line of sight. They can at least soak up some fire and save your villagers. And then once you get your upgrades, then they're actually useful. So always build your units before getting your upgrades if you have no military. If you already had military, then get upgrades, yes. But at this point, you've queued up all these upgrades, which is fine. But you really should have been doing that earlier when you flowed all those resources. Or, yeah. I don't like the stone. I don't know what you're doing with the stone wall. Probably just trying to keep them from raiding, which is fine. But that villager is doing a sick moonwalk right in place. I've seen moonwalks before, but not in place moonwalks. I think you already have a treb going. Where is your treb? Where did that treb go? Where's this treb going? Okay. I don't know if you need to spend stone wall to wall this in. If he really tries to come and finish this castle, that's a different story. Like, honestly, if you're not making anything in the siege workshop, I'd make a ram. Or just leave the mangonels to hit that down. I don't think spending the stone and villager resources to actually wall this castle in is worth it. So now he sends his guys in, which is huge mistake. He's losing all these guys for nothing. So that's a huge mistake on his part. And you get, at this point, this engagement is where you just need to drop a bunch of production buildings and just start spamming scouts. He just lost a huge chunk of whatever army he has. For free. Like, you got all those guys for free. That was the best thing you could have hoped for. If you had scouts to go and counter this, like, if you had 3 scouts to go kill this mangonel, he is so screwed in this situation. So this is where you need your trash units. I think you're going to start building... You're still building mangonels. I don't know if I keep building mangonels. Granted, he still has a couple of his own, but you have so many units. Building Forward University, interesting. But you have so many units, or you have so much resources and all these upgrades, that I think just building Mangudai and Scouts will get you there faster. Because Scouts and Mangudai both counter Mangonels by default. And then he's going to have the Archers, which you've just got a bunch for free. Even if he's been massing, until you see that he's massed them, having a bunch of Scouts and Mangudai are going to be way more useful than keep building Mangonels and getting your upgrades. So, good Mangonel micro. I don't like this. So the problem with this University Forward is, like, yeah, you have villagers over here, and you can probably try to wall off. But if he had crossbows right here, he could snipe that, and that just causes you extra idle time for your university. And you need your university for ballistics and chemistry for your Mangudai. And so again, you have no military. You have 1 Mangudai, 1 Treb, which the Treb is doing nothing. You need to get this Treb to do something. Even just start picking off these houses. Probably more importantly, pick off this siege workshop and these archery ranges. But you don't have military to take advantage of all these upgrades you're getting. And you're only building mangonels. So you need to send... You need to get these military going. You need to build some more stables. You need to keep mining. Like, yeah. Oh, sick shot. Also, the fact that they're mangonels and not onagers means that they don't one-shot arbalests or crossbowmen at this point. Especially now that they're arbalests. So you need some trash units. I don't know why he's still attacking that, but that's a mistake. So you're building a mill out here, which is fine. I actually know. He already has a bunch of stuff going on over here. You're going to just have exposed villagers. He hasn't shown any inclination that he's going to even consider this side. Build your mill right here. It's the exact same. It's just as exposed, but he doesn't already have units and pressure over there. So if you build your mill over here, you're going to be just as well off. Build it down here, just as well off. Build a lumber camp. he has not shown you any indication that he even thinks that this side of the map exists. He is entirely all in on this side. So so he's still booming. And again, you send in, if you had been making scouts and just raiding with scouts, look at how exposed everything is. Oh, you sent 5 scouts over here with attack upgrades? That's 20 vills dead. He panics. His eco is not very good because he's been so focused on it, but like, I mean, he has 22 vills, so you know, it's not terrible. It's pretty damn good eco. But, oh, and he's expanding over here with the TC. Like, this is why you need military. If you just had scouts, at this point, you've blunted the attack enough that you know what you're dealing with, which is just a group of Arbalests. You could send off you just send off some scouts, you send off some Mangudais, just do some raids, and I know you have the APM at this time at this skill level to micromanage those, and you can get actually do some good damage. So, you're getting your Onager upgrade, which is good. But again, you need trash units. Just scouts would help so much. At the very least, you send your scouts in, and then the Arbalests focus on the scouts, and then you can attack your Onagers. So, and see, that's what I was talking about. He already knows your guys are over here. He's gonna wipe all these guys out. There's nothing you can do about it. Oh, rip that one Arbalest. So, just Onagers aren't good. You need, look how much Parthian, like, again, so this is a huge situation. Like, you have no military. You have enough gold to just spam a bunch of Mangudai. You get a bunch of Mangudai. You're researching Hussar. Okay, so again, so Hussar isn't needed. Like, light cav are just as good, especially because you'd have light cav on the field. You're focusing too hard on your eco or your upgrades instead of trying to get actual military. Additionally, losing that Mangonel for nothing is a really big mistake. I probably could have ranged that a little bit better. But this is why you need military. You need to send those scouts in to attack the Arbalests. Arbalests have to focus on the scouts, and then you can get some Onager shots in. And so right now, again, you only have 3 units. One isn't even being used. It's Trebuchet. This Trebuchet could have been picking off houses and reducing his line of sight. It could have been dealing with this. You're still trying to wall in this castle. That's a huge mistake. Just have this Treb attack the castle. It'll be fine. You're losing your university, which hopefully isn't needed anymore. But this is just where you needed to build military. Any military, like, finally you're getting some Hussars, which is good. You're finally going to start getting some stable production. But imagine if you had had 20 Hussars right now. He has 57 more military than you. There's no way you can fight anything. Again, he's making a huge mistake of just focusing on this university instead of going and attacking castles and stuff. But yeah, 3 pickoffs. He is not aggressive correctly. Oh hey, what's going on over here? Okay, so you've expanded. He's expanded. He's going forward to do a forward castle, I'm assuming. This is, again, why you need scouts. If you had scouted this area, you would have known that he was going to try to push it, pressure. We'll see when he actually starts doing something about this. Is he just going to try to grab that relic? Like, he has to just go for a castle drop here, right? We'll check back in on that. But he is finally getting some cap rams, which is very good. You're going to doubt that castle. He needs Trebs at this point. Does he even have a castle? Yeah, so he has a forward castle. He needs to start making Trebs. I don't think Rams are the right thing to do. You have so many castles, and you have been making Onagers nonstop. Are you building a capped Ram? I don't agree with that. But you've been making Onagers nonstop that these things are just going to melt. I would have just gone for Trebs. Britain Trebs are good. I would just, if you had just gone Trebs instead of actually going for, if Green had gone Trebs instead of going capped Rams, I think you'd have a lot more trouble, because how are you going to deal? You don't have any units to deal with Trebs. Luckily, you have 2 castles and a TC and Onagers to deal with capped Rams. Like, they're not going to deal great, but the capped Ram isn't going to do much. If these were just okay, so what do we do? Come on. You don't need more resources. Drop a castle. What's he gonna do about a castle over here? Drop a castle here. I mean, you're getting the gold at least, so that's good, but there's too much tunnel vision on one area, and there's too much tunnel vision over here. He needs to focus on the fact that he could have won on the other side. So I don't agree with this capped ram. That is a military unit that you need backup units for. You need a bunch of scouts, you need a bunch of Mangudai to protect it. Capped ram does nothing. Maybe it was supposed to be an onager. It probably was supposed to be an onager and it was a misclick. But again, you need trash units. You're finally building your hussars. But you have 8 hussars to... He's even building his trash units now. Ram battle. Hilarious. So he's building a castle. I don't like that castle. I mean, he's starting to raid, which is the right thing to do. Again, your 10 hussars aren't going to stop everything. He has capped rams coming in now. He has Arbalest backup. You don't have military. You only have a Trev that's doing nothing. And all these Arbalests. This could have all been avoided had you just been making a bunch of scouts. You have so much gold, and you should be making an Mangudai as well. It's definitely panic at this point. But this is the classic case of build military first and foremost once you start getting into these fights. MVP ram, killing another ram. So, like, again, that was fine. Like, that ram push was a waste of his money, but he's dealing so much damage over here that it's worth it for him. He's doing another castle drop. These castle drops are mistakes. He should be focusing on building trebs. He should be castle dropping over here. These castle drops only really attack this one little area. They don't attack too much. Castle drop on this hill would have been way bigger. Granted, you have units there, but like a castle drop up here, like a castle drop over here would have been good again. Keep the pressure on this side, but like hopscotching these, skipping up. What's the word I'm looking for? But like hopscotch. Fuck, I don't even know what word I'm looking for now. But like just doing these castles up front right here, I don't like it. All that's, yeah. So, granted, there's not much you can do about this, but you have so many rams. You're getting capped rams. Okay, so you're finally starting to build production, like Mangudai, man. You have 42 farms, and you don't have any units to protect the rams. The rams are good, but okay, you're finally getting your hussars over there. But like this is where you're. Oh, hey, your trap. Is that the trap? Yeah, you're using your trap, which is good. But you don't have enough units to protect your stuff. You don't have units to deal. You don't have any units to deal with Arbalests. You need your Mangudai to deal with your Arbalests. Granted, you're gonna be able to take down the castle, but I still just. Okay, so at least now you're starting to really pump out production. I still don't like the rams. That's a lot of resources spent on these rams. And honestly, Onager or Siege Onager at this point would have been way better, just because it would have dealt with these Arbalests way better than what you're dealing with right now. Granted, they go through and help melt this thing, and he doesn't have his defenses up, so you melt. Like this is the best fight you could hope for. This should not have happened. He built his trebs way too late. He has stopped his army production, I'm pretty sure. How does he only have 23 military? If he just kept producing... Look at his resources! How? Teak, you are committing highway robbery here. Green, like this is a classic case of 10 archery... Like, you have all the archery... How many archery ranges does he have? 5 stables, 6 archery ranges, 1 barracks, that doesn't matter, 2 castles. It was 3. But, like, you have so many resources. This guy should have been producing non-stop Arbalests and then Trebs. Arbalests and Trebs, and Hussars can't do that much, but keeping only that one group of Arbalests? Hell, you're going all pikes. Make some pikemen. Or going all horses. Make pikemen. This is... Teak had no business getting to this point, and I think, like, now, his army is better than his opponent's. His opponent's army is a bunch of Trebs, a handful of Arbalesks, and a handful of light cav. Teak has a bunch of cat rams, hussars, and 2 Trebs. And just, you don't have the massive number of Arbalesks anymore. You need to start producing buildings. So he's starting to produce a lot of light cav. Light cav lose to like Mongol hussars, hands down. Like you're throwing your trash units away. Your trash units at this point should be green. Definitely should be dropping a bunch of barracks and then spamming pikes. If you had pikes to back these up, Teak hasn't made Mangadai in ever, so pikes would have helped, would have stopped this in its tracks. But so green made a lot of mistakes here. Keep pressuring, yeah. So you're pushing forward. This is the right. So killing this castle right away is a huge deal. You should send these hussar to go and fight to protect these rams. But I think more importantly, if you send these 2 rams to go start taking down these stables, killing the production buildings is a huge blow right now. Also, you're getting housed, so you don't. How did you get housed? Where are you losing buildings? Oh, Arbalest's there. Did you? Oh, your castle got trebbed? Oh, he trebbed the castle with his dying breath. Got it. Okay, so that's why you're housed. So like, because this castle's gonna melt, even though you have no units protecting your rams. You're raiding, which is perfect to do, but you protect these rams, and then you send these rams to go take out these production buildings, and he can't recover from that. So this is good. You're getting your light cav in. Rebooming, which is fun. I do not think this TC is worth it. You have 120 villagers. Just build a lumber camp, and that'll be faster. And save you stone. Honestly, I just build more production buildings. You have enough resources. I mean, you need to go grab your other resources. Actually, you are running low on resources, but you need to find other resources besides just wood. Like, your wood lines aren't in danger. You have this entire wood line back here. You have this wood line that has been pressured. I don't think this is necessarily where a town center should be. More importantly, you should be looking to make military at this point again. You're doing these amazing raids. This is what you need to do as Mongols. Just let them run amok. Don't bother microing any of this. Focus on killing all these production buildings. And like, if you had made, so you have 26 units queued up right now, coming out of 4 stables. You have, if you had doubled the stables, again, just imagine you have 10 hussars. Imagine having 30 hussars right now. Think about how juicy that would be. If these were all queued, like, this is why you need production buildings. And if, like, credit to Green, he is starting to produce a lot of production buildings. So he has 9 stables. He has 12 archery ranges. He's actually starting to use his resources. And so if you don't deal enough damage right now, he is going to outflood you, which is a huge problem. So this is why you need to. You're floating 2k wood. You're also losing your cap rams, which is a huge mistake. You need to send your units there, but like, you're just not. You don't have enough units. He's starting to flood back his Arbalest. He's getting enough light cav to deal with your hussars. You've missed your window to max out your military, and he now has 60 more military than you. Granted, you're dealing irrevocable amount of villager damage, but he's ringing his bell, and now these hussars die. If you would just, like, your eco is great, but if you just been making military this entire time through enough military buildings, you'd be golden. But only cap rams and light cav are just not enough. Especially because, like, now your light cav your hussars just die to Arbalests. And now you're gonna get counter-raided. I don't know if you have any more stone. But that's, like, this castle. This castle didn't, like, yeah, it stopped that castle, but like this castle wasn't protecting much, and I mean it's protecting this gold, which you don't have a couple people on, but you don't need gold right now. You need stone. You need to grab this stone. You forgot about this stone, and you need another castle and start making money. But this is just a case of whoever has the most numbers wins. And unfortunately, you don't have a way to get more numbers. That was sad. But like, he's had such a huge production queue. So like, let's look at yours. You have 4 production queue buildings, all fully queued. And then we look at green. I mean, granted, he is maxed out on E. Like, look at that army. You can't beat that army. You're not winning this. He can start floating resources. He's maxed out. He has, again, 8 stables, 12 archery ranges. There's nothing you can do about that. You'd have to match the eco in yourself. So, unfortunately, you build right in front of his TC, which is where scouting would have been useful. But at this point, honestly, I think this is where GG comes in. He's gonna make some trebs and start pressuring. You finally start throwing down some stables. Far too late, but at least you're doing them now. But you are starting to lose too many villagers, and he's starting to stock up resources and establish entire map control. You're going to be bled out of resources, and yeah, this game's pretty much over at this point. Unless you get, like, also at this point is where you make onagers and hope to take out an entire army at once, because light cav hussars aren't going to do it. Mass Mongol light cavs when you're this far behind aren't going to do it. So that's beautiful. That's something that should have happened 30 minutes ago. If you had this many production buildings 30 minutes ago, you'd have actually had units, and you could have really, really crushed them. You need to get this gold, or that stone, but at this point, he's wasting time building this stuff, or killing this stuff. He should just send all these guys in to start harassing your eco. Yeah, I don't think you come back from this team. I think this is just GG. You're losing your buildings. He's fully maxed out. He can start deleting villagers if he wants, but he has 60 more military than you. He has he has gold units, you only have trash units. Unfortunately, you're gonna get a nice pick off here. But he still has all of this. And also, like, let's take a look at what his resources are. Look at what his queued up is. He can make units for days. He has so much wood, and he's mining out the map of all the resources. So you can just watch this till the end. I don't think there's too much to talk about here. Doing raids with the hussars, which is fine. I think that's better to try than trying to fight this force. But you do need to figure out what to do about this force. If he had sent some trebs up, if he kills a bunch of villagers and sends a bunch of trebs or cap rams, then it's GG. But luckily, he doesn't have any siege behind this. So this push is going to be pretty slow. At this point, at best, you're delaying the inevitable here while you try to macro up. But he has just arbalests and light cabs. He should stop making light cabs, though. He needs to keep making these arbalests, yeah. You can't beat this arbalest group. 60 arbalests, that'll do it. And you have no relics either, so it's not like you have an ability to gain gold late game. But yeah, Britain arbalest will do it, and you have a second treb. Granted, you are decimating his economy, which is at least gives you a small chance. But he's going to win the decimate economy race faster. And if you guys do full base trades, then it's like he has floating resources, you don't. His arbalests. Beautiful sound, but you're not going to take that down fast enough. I would honestly, I think you have to send your best bet here is send these hussars back. You've already you could raid over here and try to catch off some villagers here. But I think sending your hussars back and trying to snipe these trebs is your best bet. Snipe the trebs and then try to keep massing hussar to deal with these arbalests. But I don't think that's going to work. And you're still making cap rams, which if you're gonna make cap rams as a distraction, if you're making mangonels, sick. if you're gonna make capped rams, as like you should have made an onager. Like if you made an onager and sniped, gotten an onager shot in here, you could have had a chance. Capped rams, even if they deserve a distraction, you're not taking advantage of that distraction. You send all these hussars back with the capped rams taking their fire, and you have a chance. But building a bunch of capped rams to do nothing, if they're just trying to take out the trebs, that's a mistake. Yeah, at that point, that's just desperation. But I'm guessing this should be GG anytime soon. I mean, I guess drill cap rams can counter trebs semi. Like, no. He has the machine gunners, so. Yeah, like this raid isn't accomplishing anything. You're losing too much production. You're getting housed. Yeah, at this point we're just watching the slow death. Maybe he turns it around, but you're still looking for miss that villager. But like, I mean, if you take out the monastery and take out some relics, there's a chance. But there's so much that has to go right, and he has such an army. Like you can't be gotten above 100 pop in a while. Again, if he had tech switched into pikes, the game would already be over. I don't know why you keep making siege rams. At this point, it has to be a meme, Teak. You have to be memeing on me, around him. Yeah, the light cab will clean up the siege rams, and your eco is just so toasted. You at least took out the relic, so he has no more gold income. But he's also mining all the gold, so. And he has another monastery down here to grab another relic. Sick. But again, you don't have the resources to deal with an army this size. You can pick out the trebs and slow them down, sure, but. And now he's raiding the last remaining eco you have. Granted, you're wrecking his eco, but there's GG. Yep. Yeah. So overall, it was a really good game. It's a classic. If you had just made a bunch of units early on, like once you hit Imperial, if you had a military, you would have won the game. There's definitely chances where you could have taken it, but you just didn't take any advantage you had with regards to military, and that just meant that you never could match the military. Additionally, going full trash against Agonzalezc is a mistake, unless it was skirms, and even then against Britons, you know, they outrange. You needed some gold unit besides capped rams. If you had kept making onagers, I think you'd have had a better chance, but onagers against this many units is not a good deal. But yeah, so overall, I think there was some good things we learned from there about the value of overmaking production buildings, and the moment Green made all those production buildings was the moment you lost. Because up until that point, you were keeping it even though he was floating way too many resources and had full map control. The moment he made all those resources, it was just over. So you can see that he was winning for a long time. He just couldn't figure out how to make the win. And then here's where he started really making military. He just never could catch up. So that's going to do it for my analysis tonight. So that was a good game between Teak and Agon. But, yeah, production buildings. Always the most important thing. So that wraps up this analysis and this wraps up Mojito Monday match analysis. I'm Mojito, and I finished my Mojito. If you'd like the analysis, and you want to have any of your replays be analyzed, join the Discord down below. Go to the AoE2 match analysis channel and submit replays there, and I'll do my best to get to analyze them. Every Monday night, I do analysis at the very least. Otherwise, I stream Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays as well. And you can find me at twitch.tv/TheMojitoMonday. And hopefully I will catch you around, and I hope you enjoyed the show.